Hey guys, I'm here for my first official video back on the channel. Today, I mentioned in my coming back video that I wanted to do some more Marvel Strike Force content because I just got back into the game a few months ago. And honestly, when it comes to content creation, I think I had the most fun covering Marvel Strike Force. Just Yeah, it was fresh to me then, kind of like how Lord of the Rings: Heroes of Middle Earth became, where it was just a new game to me, so I could kind of figure it out as I made content, and it made it fresh and exciting. And I think we did a lot of good things with it. Like back in the Apocalypse days, we jumped ahead of a couple scourges on a completely free to play account, following our build order, and I thought it was pretty cool, pretty fun to do. So we're gonna actually go over what you should be doing in Marvel Strike Force. Cue the 10 teams you need to be building or 10 safe team, whatever, right? Um, this is my version of that. Everybody makes this video. However, I want to offer a little more of a look at why. Why do we build these teams? What are they for? Everybody knows that, right? What different areas of the game these different teams are used in. But why do you focus on these game modes? Why is it important for the long term growth and benefit of your account? So let's get into it. So before we get into teams, we need to first set out what our priorities are. Our priorities are going to be getting as much shit as we can, because getting as much shit as we can, meaning resources, means we can then snowball the account. If I'm able to get more resources, I'm able to invest more resources. By investing more resources, my teams get stronger. I develop more teams. I get access to more game modes. I get more resources that I've then invested in the characters and teams that give me access to more content. You see where I'm going with this? It snowballs. So the more stuff you're able to get, the more you can invest in your teams, the more you can do, the more resources you can get. Cycle. We want to stay relevant, meaning if possible, we want to be building current meta teams and not building old, outdated teams, especially with a little over like a year ago, they had the whole Ares stat change or whatever. So basically, old teams that came out before the Ares era, the whatever. They've kind of been power crept in terms of just raw stats. So we don't want to build anything old unless we have to, and we want to be efficient when possible, right? So one of the biggest things with building characters and teams in this game is that a lot of your progression it's tied behind the classic like training materials and gold, just like every other game, like Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes and whatnot, right? But one of the main differences in Marvel Strike Force as opposed to like Swigo is that your gear is tied to a specific affinity of that character. So a tech character requires different gear than a skill character or a mutant character or a bio character or a mystic character, which is great because when we go to build teams or characters, we can focus on building out one character from one affinity and moving on to the next affinity, unless we have like a giant surplus of gear we've been hoarding and it doesn't matter. But if we tend to focus on just one affinity, building all one affinity, we burn through all that gear and now we're at a choke. We're being restricted on our account growth because we don't have the resources needed to bring the characters up. This is something we cannot get around in certain areas, like building raid teams. But for the most part, we want to be efficient so that we can continue growing our characters and growing our teams so we can grow our account. So the game modes that we're going to be looking at are going to be the Arena, Raid, Cosmic Crucible, War, Battle World, right? You guys know all these game modes, but why are they important? I've kind of listed them in order of what I think is the most important for all of these game modes based on their rewards. So first off, Arena is king. Period. It doesn't matter. If you have one team you build, it is your Arena team, and it is the current meta team right now. Doing well in Arena means you are getting cores. It's your number one way to get cores. Cores are the in-game premium currency that essentially they take the place of money when possible. Now, cores you can spend on gold, you can spend on training materials, you can spend on gear orbs, you can spend on basically anything in the game. But the primary use that you will be using them for is going to be your daily refreshes for energy so that you can continue farming more resources. And also for events, like certain events or milestones will have like global leaderboards that you want to place well on. So the idea is that you want to get as many cores as you can and hoard those cores and then blow them all when the time is right. There's plenty of content creators out there that make great content that will tell you when to blow your cores. But for the most part, we want to have a solid core income. Arena is the only way to get it. Now the raids, if outside of cores, raids are the period like number one most important game mode possible. The reason being, this is your number one income for gear and for tier 4 ability materials for the most part. Which you're licking. Damn dog's gonna give himself a rash. Getting more gear means we have more gear to put on characters, which means we have more characters at higher gear levels, which unlocks more content for us. Additionally, you'll get a decent trickle of gold as well as other ability materials here as well. Next up, Cosmic Crucible and War are kind of interchangeable to me. It really depends on who you talk to. Some people will argue that Cosmic Crucible is more important because of the training credits you get from it. Some people will argue that War is more important because you get gold and then ISO materials and ions from it. Um, Honestly, in my opinion, they're both not really relevant in this conversation, just for the sheer fact that the differences between the rewards you get when you win or when you lose are really not all that bad. Like I think in my war bracket, we get like 1 mil gold for winning and 500k for losing. Like that's not even a full level once you hit like level like 95 and higher, right? So over time these differences add up, but for one, the difference in win loss rewards are negligible, and number two, it really takes a lot of investment and a lot of teams to see a significant impact on your performance in Cosmic Crucible and War. And if I'm being honest, I like going the approach that I go in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, where I don't build specific like Grand Arena teams or Territory War teams. I build teams that I need to build, and that will passively get your account stronger and allow you to place those teams in those game modes. And then once you have the breathing room and the luxury, you can start investing in some of those. That's kind of where we're going with this. Battle World is just on here because it is a game mode. It's just here. What is it? Once every month. You get some ISO credits and some character shards. And the character shards are good characters, but like it's not game breaking by any means. And it really doesn't, outside of the ISO credits, it really doesn't open up new like growth avenues for our account like the other game modes do. And then legendary unlocks, you unlock legendary characters. There's still some very good old legendary unlocks like Old Man Logan that are worth going after, which means you're gonna have to have certain old teams there to unlock him, and it doesn't feel great to build those teams up, but it is kind of a necessary evil once you hit a certain point in the game. But again, outside of building a legendary character that will then fit into one of these other game modes above, legendary unlocks like aren't really like a game mode you push hard for unless you have everything else figured out. So first off, Arena, the current Arena team everybody knows is the Fantastic Four MCU team. Build all of them minus Thing up to level 105, gear tier 20. They're all phenomenal. And then typically people will swap out Thing. Sometimes on offense, they'll swap out Mr. Fantastic and just run Invisible Woman, Human Torch, and Franklin, and then two others. But some ideas of people will build and put in there, like Emma Frost, the original one, Black Cat, Apocalypse, Odin, etc. So this team needs to be built first and squared away immediately. And again, like I mentioned earlier, when it comes to like gear affinities, they are all bio characters on the Fantastic Four. So getting those gear tier 20 pieces is kind of a pain in the ass. So just focus one at a time. Get Invisible Woman or Franklin up to gear tier 20 first, and then just focus them one at a time. Knock them out. When you run out of materials for gear tier 19, gear tier 20, then that's kind of your time to pivot into one of these other teams coming up soon here. So next up, we've got raids. Raids are going to be the most important game mode outside of arena that we are building for. Again, it's your best source of gear. Gear unlocks more characters and events. Gold levels up your characters. Ability materials. This is like the main source of tier 4 materials, which are like your Omega Zetas from Swigo. Now, building these teams, you just want to build the most recent ones, the meta ones. The Annihilation Raid just came out like a month ago, maybe, or a few weeks ago. I forget how long it's been now. But when you build them, teams for this, it's specific teams, right? So there's no longer a Mystic team where you can just fill any Mystic characters. You have to build the Mystic Raid team. So your teams are going to be Insidious 6 for tech. Orcus is still available for it right now, but as Insidious 6 comes out, I would stop, like hard stop Orcus, build Insidious 6 now, and then Hellfire Club for mutants, Thunderbolts for bio, Vigilantes for skill, Night Stalkers for mystic, and then Uncanny Avengers. All 6 of these teams are required builds, build them all. Most of these teams, the way they did it is they brought 3 new characters to the game and then reworked 2 old characters. For the most part, as a general rule of thumb, the 3 new characters should all be brought to level 105 and gear tier 19 to 20. And then all of the old rework characters, you can usually take them to like level 95 or 100 and gear tier 18 and stop. There are some exceptions, like Punisher and Vigilantes is phenomenal. Like I have them gear tier 20 right now, and it's great. But there are certain areas in here where you can kind of min max your input into these characters so that you can succeed in the raids and not have to overinvest in characters like Moon Knight. And then Alpha Flight is on here as well because in the Spotlight raid, you still have Alpha Flight and Uncanny Avengers as your 2 teams there. So Uncanny Avengers, you're already building for your Annihilation raid, so you should have them available. And then Alpha Flight, you can build for Spotlight. It's not the biggest deal in the world, to be honest. I still don't have Alpha Flight build past like gear tier 18, so I don't even have like their ISOs on them to do the max level right now. And it's really not an impact. I kind of get away with it. Other people cover that lane in my guild, so I'm good. So build these characters after your arena team. And then Cosmic Crucible, this is just a look at some of the Cosmic Crucible teams that are out there. So you've got your Accursed team, which you can flex Azazel from your Hellfire Club raid team into Accursed for that. Typically you'll drop Mordo for that. And then you've got Phoenix Force, which isn't all here yet. They're still releasing 1 character every once in a while, but that is going to be a new meta team for Cosmic Crucible. Not really relevant in any other game mode, though. Same with Accursed. For Starjammers, they're a great team, but outside of using them for like Professor X, they're just using Cosmic Crucible. The Immortal X-Men team is great because the Uncanny, I have Uncanny X-Men on there. The Uncanny Avengers raid team splits into the Immortal X-Men and the Mighty Avengers war team. So there's 10 characters making up a Cosmic Crucible and a war team, and 5 of those 10 characters combined for a raid team. So building your Uncanny Avengers raid team, you have half of these 2 teams already built. So if you want to flex into it and just build the extra 1 or 2 characters, you got an extra team to use. Illuminati and Cabal are both used for legendary unlocks. So they're not the best teams in the world. They're both older teams. Illuminati still got some relevance, but outside of legendary unlocks, not a big deal. Although these legendary unlocks are great characters. Superior 6 is up there. A lot of the 6 characters got reworks, and the Insidious 6 characters can start flexing into this team as well. Again, Cosmic Crucible, you're going to be doing it for training credits, and there's a negligible difference in wins and losses. I feel like I have a dog hair in my mustache that I'm eating right now. Nope. Okay. War, we talked about gold, tier 3 materials. Again, win-loss difference is negligible, so this isn't a high priority for us. But your out of time and your mercs for money characters are going to be used for Old Man Logan unlocks and the Shadow King unlock. Once those 2 characters are unlocked, Old Man Logan feeds into a Shadow King event, and Shadow King is used for Battle World. So once you have your raid team squared away, these are kind of like the main ones I would focus on first, along with the Mighty Avengers, because like we mentioned earlier, this is kind of a flex with your Uncanny Avengers. And then the Liberty War team is a very, very good team, but outside of using some of these characters for the Professor X unlock event at Gear Tier 20, it's just a war team, right? And the rest of these characters underneath it are just war teams. They're great in war, but ultimately, when we invest in these characters, they're good for war, and that's about it. And again, us getting good at war doesn't really impact the resources that we're getting in because we can go 10 for 10 in our war battles, and our alliance can still lose. And even if they lose, the difference in rewards isn't that crazy. So, like, it's again, I'm not the biggest fan of war rewards, but hey, we're here. Then we got Battle World. Again, just Astral Team. Once you get your Shadow King unlocked, build them. It's a guaranteed team for Battle World to be able to get rewards from Battle World. And on top of that, the Command Center rewards, typically every time Battle World comes out, there are specific weekly rewards from completing Battle World waves. And each phase in Battle World there's one battle that's locked behind the Battle World team. So build Astral. This is the rest of my stock PowerPoint that I stole for this video. So, uh, doing great. So, the thing I wanted to kind of look at and show you is this here. So, this is just kind of like this is what I like to look at when I build things. I do crazy, stupid shit like this, like so I can actually track what I'm looking at, how I prioritize things, and what I'm building. But um, this is kind of like the breakdown of like our tier list, right? So first off, we build Fantastic Four. When we're done with that, we build our raid team. So that's our tier 1 and tier 2. That says tier 2 and tier 2. Tier 1 and 2. Once we're done with these, I can't even make it bigger for you guys. Sorry. Once we are done with these, then we can focus on these tier 3 teams, which is going to be legendary unlock teams that also flex into War and Crucible, as well as a couple of War Crucible teams that could be used for Professor X. And then after that, we've got our tier 4 teams, and these are basically just teams that are only really good for one game mode. So if you build this way, you will have a massive core income, which you can then spend on unlocking new characters as they come out if needed, or progressing in events to get more rewards. And then you have your raid team, so you can get a constant influx of gear and training materials and a little bit of gold. After that, you've got the rest of these teams, which you can build to unlock more characters to better round out your roster. And then after that, you've got kind of luxury teams. So when it comes to this game, you need to be careful where you put your materials because it can set you back quite a bit. When you decide to build these teams, pick a team, build that team. Don't start detouring. Don't get off track unless it's something like I'm building my tech raid team. I'm out of tech materials for my gear tier 1920. I'm going to move on to my next raid team. Stick with a team, pick a specific character on that team, and build that character out to whatever your maximum input is, whether it's gear tier 19, 20, level 100, 105, whatever. One character at a time, one team at a time, and before you know it, your account will be massive. I started playing this account like 4 months ago. I did spend a little bit of money in order to skip the leveling process. I've done that a million times, but when the Annihilation raid came out, I had my Thunderbolts and my Vigilantes were the only two teams I had that were able to run the gear tier 20 or like the hardest level of difficulty on the raid. I now have Hellfire Club, my Night Stalkers, Thunderbolts, and Vigilantes. 4 of the 6 teams right now are able to full clear highest difficulty, and I'm currently bringing up my Uncanny Event. Once that's done, I'm bringing up Insidious 6. And once all that's done, I now have 7 teams between my 6 raid teams and my arena team. That's an entire Cosmic Crucible defense. That's almost my entire war defense. And then after that, I can just start focusing on Illuminati, Cabal, Out of Time, Mercs for Money, right? Once we're done with this tier 3, we now have a full war defense, plus some war attack teams, plus whatever else crap we have in our account we can just throw in there. So Again, focus on the game modes that give you the most bang for your buck. And then after that, you have the flexibility to start investing in other teams that are a little more luxury. That's all I got for today. If you guys liked the video, please like, comment, let me know what you guys are working on right now. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more. And let me know, since I'm just getting back into this, what kind of videos do you guys want to see in the future? I don't have a tagline for signing off, so bye.